See you later. Bye. I'm going to pass it back to Heather. See you.
Oh, hi.
Oh, how's the supper?
Yes, I'm channeling my inner Moira Rose, and if you know who that is, you've been watching the same TV shows that I've been watching. But if you recognize this wig, be sure to try and remember where you've seen it before, and don't forget to send us your list of props and dances later after our telethon has ended. So I have a few more donors to thank. I think it's actually been Katie that's been bringing up our thermometer this entire time. I thought it was Meg, but I think it's been Katie. So Katie, if you could bring that up for us again, we would love to see how we're doing. It keeps creeping up. We are at $32,926 raised. So amazing. We just went past our goal, and which is super exciting for us. But let's keep going. We have 85 donors. We would love to see if we could get to 100 donors by the end of our telethon tonight. So any size of gift is super appreciated, very welcome. A lot of littles add up to a big. So we would love your support, and thank you for watching. I would like to thank some more wonderful donors. I'd like to thank Osli Yurtiapan, Ting Ting Lee, Nicholas Brown, Jody Thompson, Adam Rose, an anonymous donor, Colin Evans, Mary Jane and Robert Lee, and Boeing. We love Boeing, and we appreciate the support that they have given us over the years. So thank you. All right. Well, I am ready to pass this off to our next host. There he is, Mr. Adam Lee. That background is familiar.
Well, we had, a fun time social distancing and swapping back and forth.
Yes,
and my laptop earlier today, so that's where we're broadcasting from. This
I know. We appreciate that you came down. You're a little superhero, flew down with your cape to help Anne. So thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, I'll get out of here so you can welcome our next guest.
Yeah, I'm super excited to introduce Salina Ellison. If she could come on up. There she is.
Hi.
Hello, Salina.
How are you?
You're videoing in from Chicago, right?
I am.
Well, thank you for your time. You're scheduled to be here.
Yeah, of course.
I guess for those people who don't know you, I'll give a little introduction as to who we're speaking to.
Yeah.
So you are a PBD alumna. You were a dancer back in the day, about the same time as me, which is super exciting. And now, years later, you're a part of the board. So I'm kind of excited to talk about the different aspects of that.
Yeah. Totally.
And, so I guess I'm curious, what initially brought you to PBD? Like, why did you?
So I actually grew up a competitive dancer, jazz, tap, ballet, hip hop, contemporary, the whole world. I got hurt and I started going to physical therapy. And my physical therapist actually told me about PBD, and they were like, you guys should go to this show. And so I think my dad took me, and we went, and I was like, wait, I actually want to do that. And so I then joined the classes back when we were at that middle school, I want to say, or the high school. It was Cam's class. Yep, before we had the beautiful studio. And so I started taking classes there, and I was like, you know what? I like this. It's time to change it up. And then that was it.
Curious, what was it about the show? Like, do you remember the show that you watched? Do you remember any numbers or anything about it that?
I think for me, because most of my life I had spent competing, yes, it was a team, but it was never partner work. I was just so enamored with that. And I thought it was just so beautiful, and I loved the lines, and I've always loved dance, obviously. But getting to see it in a way that was so different than what I'd become accustomed to was amazing.
Mm-hmm. I'm the same way. I feel like it's there's something different about ballroom dance when you're forced to work with a partner as opposed to being individual.
And I think it helps tell a story in a way that other dancing can't, and that is probably one of my favorite elements about dance is the story you're able to tell. So
I love that too. So
Yeah.
what made you stay at PBD? Like that's kind of what brought you to it initially,
Yep.
but why'd you stay?
Oh gosh. Honestly, the friends and the people that I met there. I mean, PBD became my life. I mean, we were there multiple days a week for hours on end. Our Saturdays were there, and I think you just create a really close bond. And again, going back to that teamwork and partnership element, and I just became so close with them. Like, yes, I loved the dancing and all of that, but I loved the people I was with.
Yeah, honestly, that's always what I tell the current students at PBD as well. Like, the dancing is great, but the things that you're really going to remember are the relationships that you make and the people that you make them with. So I love that. That's a perfect example. I hope there are kids listening in that are hearing that.
Take notes.
Yeah, validating exactly what. So do you have any like dancing memories that have stuck with you since then? Any specific numbers that were your favorite?
Oh gosh, this was the first year I was on JP. So I did junior premiere and then youth premiere my last 2 years. And I got to watch Africa the very first year you guys debuted it. And like, we had the sound system in the studio and it was just the most incredible thing. And I just think about the like, boom, when you guys would hit the floor and things like that. That was amazing.
We got a great graphic of you dancing.
This is the ultimate throwback. This was when I was on Matt and Heather's team. When they were coaches. My first year joining one of the teams and not just doing the syllabus classes. What was this dance called? I don't even remember.
This was House of Bamboo.
Yes, and I got to sit on top of the bamboo.
So those boys, they're carrying, describe this to us, like how exactly?
For my life. They all like squatted down and each would like hold a side, and then I would have to like slowly kind of roll back until I was at the place I needed to be, and then they stood up and walked you out.
Did you just feel like a queen? Was that like the moment?
I mean,
or were you scared to death?
Oh, the hat says it all. It was definitely the queen.
I feel like that's one of the defining Salina moments in my memory. Is like,
it was a great way to start my PBD career.
And then you continued dancing even after you had graduated PBD, right?
Yeah, just so for probably about a year. I danced with Chase actually, and we did Smooth. So that was really fun and something different because I mean, PBD when I was there is so different than it is now. Like nobody was competing in open, maybe 2 people. For the most part, everybody was doing syllabus. And so it was super fun to get a branch out from what we had done competition wise.
Yeah, I agree with what you said that it's different now than it was before. Oh, there's another great picture. That's good timing right there, Meg. Thank you. Of you dancing with Chase.
Yep.
Say that again?
It's so competitive now too. Like it's so awesome to see how PBD has evolved from when we were there, right? Versus now where it's this entire organization where you're starting when you're like 5 and you just work your way up through the ranks. And you and I have talked about this, like you can just tell technique wise that these kids are 100 times better than we ever were.
Exactly. What do you think has allowed it to grow like into what it is now?
That's hard. I think just word of mouth and people seeing what it is. I also think, I mean, for me especially, like just being there and getting to try it out is what's so great. And so I think when people tell their friends about it and they come in and they get to experience it, it's awesome. I also think we'd be remiss to not give Dancing with the Stars credit.
True. Popularity, right?
Yep. I think people, watch that on TV, they love it, think it's cool, and they come, and then once they're in, they're hooked.
Mm-hmm. Now, were you were there when we moved in from the not studio to the studio?
I was thinking about this earlier, and I'm 75% sure I was, because I remember Brent and Katie making us wash the mirrors in the windows and the floors, like one day during camp. So
you've literally put blood, sweat, and tears into like the creating of this studio. That's pretty fantastic. We have a lot to thank you for, Salina, for like paving the way for what you are now. And so I'm really curious how it's like now that you're a board member. Can you talk to me a little bit about how you became a board member? How did you come back to PBD?
Yeah. So when I graduated from college, I actually started working in nonprofit for my university. And in that, we talked about all the different ways you could give back. And that's, like I said, I had just graduated. So I was like, well, I can't really give financially. So what else can I do? And one of the number one things you're always told is you can give your time. And so I reached out to Heather and was like, you know, PBD was so instrumental in helping me become who I am, have the confidence I have, the social skills, things like that. So how can I get involved and give back? And she was like, well, we're actually looking for people to join the board. What do you think? And I was like, do I do it? Do I not? And I did it, and here we are. So it's really interesting being behind the scenes and seeing kind of the operational side of how things are done. We have no exposure to that when we're on the team. So it's.
Well, yeah, I'm curious. What's it like on the inside? Like,
No, real juicy.
What kind of things do you guys talk about in this? No, just kidding. But
No,
I mean,
yeah,
you have a different perspective now, having been in
yeah,
the program and
totally.
being there. What kind of things do you think you offer, like, to the board? And to
Oh
the-
gosh. Well, I'm just younger than everybody else, which not in a bad way or anything. I just think it's good to have an alternative perspective. But then I also think it's fun to have someone that's been through the program and can kind of speak to it as a testament. I think we've had people that have been parents, but I mean, anyone who's been on the team can say this. There's just nothing like getting to be a part of the program. And so just being able to come at it from that aspect of like, well, I went through it and this is what I experienced or what I felt like, and being able to come from that viewpoint rather than just somebody that was, you know, an outsider or connected from Sally's uncle's grandpa's father.
Right. And it's interesting that you mentioned that because you totally have experiences that are relevant to what we're facing now.
Yeah.
You shared a little bit before about your senior year and how that kind of relates to what's happening now. Do you mind sharing that a little bit for those?
Yeah, so my senior year, we were getting ready for nationals. We were learning our medley. At this point, I think I blocked it out of my memory. I don't remember exactly what happened, but I got hurt and I was not able to compete at nationals my senior year. And I'm kind of a drama queen, so I felt like my life was over. And it's so crazy. And so I mean, I still got to go and be a part of it and be a part of the team, but having to sit there and watch the people I had been spending so many hours train with and learn this routine compete when I couldn't was like, oh, knife to my chest. And so when I heard that the seniors this year went to nationals and then had to go home, I was like, oh my gosh, my heart just went out to them because I mean, you work so hard on it, and to just have it like taken from you like that is insanity.
Yeah. Would you give any of the seniors advice now?
Oh gosh, I mean this is
later.
Yeah, this is such a cliche thing to say, but I think, I mean, advice wise, just take it in strides one day at a time, but also just ultimately, like, when you get to dance again, because you will, really appreciate the moment and seize every opportunity you have to perform or compete. I think this is a great example of in the blink of an eye, it's gone. And so just really cherish that, because I think so often we think like, oh, it'll always be there. Like, I'll always be able to dance, right? So example for this, I got really sick in college and was in a wheelchair and had to basically relearn to walk. And I was like, I'm probably never going to be able to dance again or anything like that. And it was so quick. And so it was another reminder to me of just really being appreciative of the opportunities and chances you're given. And so that's what I would say to the seniors.
Every moment.
Yes. Yeah, this is hard, but think back about all the great things you had earlier this year as well. Like just the practices, the long hours. I mean, the bus ride from the airport to, the center, practicing in the airport in your warm-ups, like those are all amazing memories. Like, yes, competing on that floor is awesome and obviously what you work for, but everything you did prior to that is just as memorable and amazing.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's so much more about the journey than it is about the actual like event. I know a lot of people are really disappointed that our spring concert isn't going to look like what it normally looks like.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the same idea there, is just making sure that you know, we remember the journey that's got us there.
Yeah,
why
exactly.
we do what we do.
And it will be different, but like, how fortunate are we that we can do something like this and be on video and still perform and put on a show, right? So I just think I've been telling myself personally through all of this, like, find the good. And so rather than focusing on the negative about what's happening, just stay positive about it as much as you can.
Mm-hmm. I'm really hoping there are a lot, because I coach some of the seniors here.
I know, that's my heart.
Or they'll go back and watch this later. Thank you for sharing those awesome
Of course.
thoughts. And for those who aren't dancers, what would you say would be the reason to donate to this awesome cause? Like, why?
If you're not a dancer, I just think that, I mean, I kind of hinted at this earlier, there is something about being a teenager and a young person and being forced to dance with somebody else and in a team setting. Obviously there's other sports like soccer, things like that, and I'm not saying those don't teach great skills. I think all of these do, but I think ballroom is so much like learning how to lead, learning when to follow, learning when it's your turn to go. And like, I mean, with some of our tricks, it's like you have to trust people in a way that you don't in other activities. And so the character,
like being on a bamboo.
Yeah, exactly. You're like being tossed in the air and like spun around somebody's back. Like, these are things you don't do in other activities. And they inadvertently teach you a lot of really great life skills that help you down the road. And I mean, for me, I remember Brent used to yell at me about eye contact constantly. It was like, Salina, look your partner in the eye. And now in work, that, I mean, this is a silly example, but like now in work, that's been so like such a big thing. And so I think the list is endless, but just knowing that while, you know, it may just seem like dance, there's a lot of layers to what is being taught, and it will help them so many years down the road.
That I couldn't have said that better myself. That's fantastic. And the fact that you're still using those lessons that you learned from Brent and Katie. And I mean, obviously I was in that same boat too. And back in the day, we're like, oh, why do we have to do this? Like, we're just in it for the social reasons. It's just fun to us. And we had no idea that these skills are useful, that they will benefit you in life, and that it will benefit us basically as a society too.
Especially the lead and follow. Like, knowing when it's time to take a step back and let someone else step in, and then knowing when it's your turn to do that. I mean, that's money, a gold mine.
It's true. That's true. In lots of social settings as well. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, thank you. You shared some awesome thoughts, and you're a wonderful person. Great example of what this program means. So thank you for sharing everything with us today. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but I wish we could just keep talking and talking. Good luck with everything you're doing in Chicago.
Thank you. This has been so fun. Bye.
Thanks, Salina. We'll see you later.